My name is Alyssa Palomba. I played lacrosse at Middlebury College. I was a goalie there. I went through the D1 and D3 process, and I'm excited to tell you a little bit more about my experience in the lacrosse recruiting process. The hardest part for me was just being confident and being proactive. I think that that's something that is kind of not necessarily something that you always do as a high school student. And so to know that you needed to reach out to all of these coaches who you respected and wanted to play for, and to really push yourself to put the message out there that you were a great player and that you really wanted to play for their program, I think was difficult at times, and had a lot of conversations with my family about it. And they really helped kind of like proofread my messages and talk through kind of why it was so important for me to be proactive and reach out to these schools. And it once it started paying off, it felt a little bit easier to kind of reply and talk to the coaches. But again, like, I was really self-conscious as a high schooler, and I wasn't necessarily as confident as I wanted to be, even with my game. And so being able, having to kind of put myself out there, be uncomfortable. One of the things that I learned really early on was in my just lacrosse career was, if I could put myself in uncomfortable positions in my life, I would be able to do that on the field. And when things kind of didn't go right or things were really hard on the field, I knew how to kind of react to that. And so this was the same thing. I challenged myself that it was going to make me a better player if I could put myself in positions where maybe I didn't feel that comfortable, and kind of do all that prep work that it took to get me to a place where I felt more comfortable and had those conversations more easily. So I think that was really the hardest part, was just putting myself out there, being proactive with colleges, and in the interview setting or the meeting setting, just asking coaches directly if I was the right fit for their school, or if it was something that it was realistic for me to be playing at their school or pursuing their school in the recruiting process. And I think that's a question that takes a lot of maturity to be able to ask, but that is a situation where I put myself in a place where I felt uncomfortable, but came out of those conversations with much more transparency about where I stood. Was I their top recruit? Was I mid-tier recruit? Was I really not on their radar, and this was just a courtesy, for me to sit down with them? Those things are really important to ask and push yourself to do. And I think if my parents had asked that question, then I wouldn't necessarily look like the mature student athlete that I was at the time. So that's kind of where I think that was the hardest part, but also the most fulfilling. I think that I'm a more confident person today because of the fact that I put myself out there in the process and push myself to be really, prepared for these meetings with coaches, and be okay with asking the hard questions, so that I could really figure out if this was the right school for me. To all the student athletes that are going through this process, I really do, from the bottom of my heart, understand what it feels like to be in this process and not necessarily be somebody who is used to putting themselves out there. But I guarantee you, if you practice and you continue to do it, it gets easier. And it makes a huge difference in your process. You're going to have more clarity. You're going to become a better athlete just by being able to put yourself in uncomfortable positions and push yourself in that way. To all of those student athletes out there, you can do it. And if you need help, there are people to help you. Do interview prep with your parents or with a friend or an advisor that you really trust. Write emails and have people proofread them. Use your resources around you to help kind of lift you up. So yeah, that's my advice.